Good evening. I'm finally back up and running on some recordings. I had changed over computers on the fourth during the fourth weekend, and Camtasia quit working on for me for a while, but finally got it figured out with help from tech support. So we're back up and running. Um, Been talked about several times. Well, a couple friends of mine and different people saying, hey, they like to see some stuff on WINDEV Mobile. So in doing that, a few days ago, about a week ago, my brother-in-law, who owns a trucking company, called me up and asked me if there was any software that would help him do inspections as he gets loads from Mexico into the U.S., and they have to inspect the trucks, they have to inspect the trailers for damage, and the loads and everything else that goes with it. And they had written, or somewhere along the line, somebody had written some kind of capture utility stuff in WordPress. And that's what he's having to deal with, and it becomes a bit of a pain because he can't make any management decisions on people and things like this, on saying, what's the peak hours, yada, yada, yada. So I wrote up a little deal for him to tell him what it's necessary to get that job done. And he's currently evaluating some things with it, and probably we're going to end up building it for him because I'm a nice guy and he's my brother-in-law, and I give him brother-in-law rates, which is only twice as high as everybody else's. So we're in good shape. Anyway, the application is going to be an Android. He's got tablets, so we're going to be specifically targeting tablets with it. And we're going to go through this entire process. But the first thing I really want to do is kind of design out a prototype of what it should look like. Okay? It's a fairly simple thing to do, but we can do this fairly easily. Mobile is different than desktop. Absolutely different. The Go button, or the debugger, if you're running it on a Windows platform, will give you a lot of things that it says it can and can't do with Android, but there's certain things that Android, in the translation from WinDev code to Android code, that it's not capable of doing. So it's always adamant, or it's always advantageous to allow it to run on the desktop to get all your stuff kind of settled out, and then also run it on a Android device. So that way you can have that kind of settled out as well. Hence the reason why there's going to be one phone thing here, on landscape on the phone, but that's the only reason I've got that is because I do have an Android tablet. I made my mistake there. So I'm going to put it on a 7-inch Android tablet that I have here handy and test it that way. But first of all, we created the project. It's called TCI Inspection. It's going to be an Android with a RESTful system to capture the data that includes images and inspection information that's tied to the images, so that way they can see and take a printout and re-look up the information afterwards. So let's say the trailer comes in from Mexico, it's got a ding in the trailer, so they mark it for that morning and everything. They charge the individual for the ding on the thing, and then it comes in another 2 weeks later, and they decide not to fix the ding, so the ding's still there. Well, they don't want to charge the next guy the same ding, so there's got to be a lookup, be able to bring back up the trailer and say, this ding has not been resolved as far as that's concerned. So let's kind of go through this about what we're going to do. We're going to inspect a tractor. We're going to inspect the trailer. We're going to have another thing called a CTAP inspection. And the CTPAT inspection is actually required by the state and federal for trucks. So they have to look at different things on it just to make sure. That has to be done each time. and then it goes through everything else. Okay, so first things first, like I said, I created the inspection. This is a Android system. This is an Android development. What I do is install WINDEV first, and then I install Web, and then WINDEV Mobile, and tell it to utilize WINDEV 25 instead of installing its own IDE. This way I can use the same application, and I can do several applications all in the same IDE, and it works out better all the way around. So let's kind of get started here. And the thing I'm going to do is we're going to create I got an analysis here, I believe, and we're going to create an analysis. We've got that here called TCI inspections. We're going to create one file in there right now. They're going to end up to be probably two files. Well, let's go ahead and we're going to create two files. That's what we're going to do. So this new file definition, and this is going to be inspections. Now the difference between this, or the difference that I'm looking for as a inspection is pretty simple. All I'm going to be doing is actually putting in a date timestamp. Okay, so that's date and time. That way I know when it happened. Then I'm just going to do a JSON record. What is a JSON record for? It's pretty simple. In doing the JSON record, when I get done with the inspection with everything with it, it's going to be in JSON in order to send it to the RESTful call. Well, this way, if the internet is down, I can just save it directly to this file, and it can hold it until time is processed. Once it's processed, delete the record. You don't need it anymore. So that's all the three fields I need on this one. It's not much at all. Now, what is the other thing is? Well, we got some file data. So in other words, we want to pull in all the existing equipment that the company has in order to do inspections in. This is including any equipment that they inspect that may not be theirs. So there's a whole issue with dealing with that. So we're going to create that as well. We're going to go down here, create a new data file, and we're going to call this equipment. Now, let's make it more generic so we can put anything in there. We're going to call this file data. Once we got file data in here, what are we going to do? Well, we need to know what table name it is. That table name is pretty simple. We got it at 50. I'm fine with that. And I'm going to put a time to live. What does the time to live do? Well, what the time to live does is that with the addition of additional equipment and things like this, you're going to want to ever so often go grab the information again and pull it into your system, so that way any updates, changes, somebody else on another device adds a trailer that you haven't gone through your device, all of that gets picked up and done. So that's what the time to live is for. It works out very nicely because all I need to do is say time to live is going to be, 15 minutes or an hour or 4 hours. It could be anything of the kind. More, for our time to live here, it's really going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 hours. And the reason why is because, pretty simply put, they don't get the same trailer going through. They're usually taking the trailer off several, days away and coming back before they ever see it again. So it's not a real reason to do it more than any time, 8 to 12 hours. But we've got it there to work with. Then the last thing, again, is just a JSON record. And you say, why is that? Because when I call the RESTful program to bring back the data, the thing that it's going to need, or the thing that it's going to return it in, is JSON. Since it's already in JSON coming to me, I can update, okay? I can update or insert it into the file data and utilize it constantly. All I have to do is have a class to fill in the record structure. And that's where we'll get into that in a little bit. We first of all got to kind of put together the screen definition so we know how that works. So these are the two files we need. They're both small local files, HF files. And let's kind of talk a little bit here about why I do this versus replication at HF files. If you're in a controlled environment, the replication is a very nice little feature that PCSoft has provided. So as long as you're in a controlled environment, warehouse, things like this, you know, then literally, yeah, I mean, if you want to go down that path, do it. Do it very easily, do it well, enjoy yourself, and go through whatever those processes are. Unfortunately, mine has a little less to do with a controlled environment. They're going to be outside. They're going to be 150, 200 yards away from any building at the gate. They may or may not have internet access at the time. There's all kinds of reasons for this. So you're trying to do replication when you're not always capable of connecting up and down and things like that, you can get out of sync. It does happen. I've used replication over the years between MS SQL, Postgres, or not Postgres, but Sybase and other ones, and the only problem we ever had was when they got out of sync. I'm not saying that HF SQL will do that, but it's not that I don't take the chance. It's just that my customers expect a reliability that I can't guarantee at the moment. So I do it this way. It works 100% of the time and works well. So we've created the two files. We've got the file data inspections. We don't have to do anything more to it. We just know where those two are and go from there. And the first thing we need to do is go ahead and take a look and start creating what we want for a window. So let's create a new window first. And I'm going to do it this way. We got several different ones we can work with: connection, login, looper, read-only form, different ones like that, including blank. Blank here, whatever we want it to be. What I'm going to do is create as a blank for this one and go from here. This is going to be my main window. Let her rock. Okay. The difference is that now what we want to do is go up here to the layouts. I'm sorry, wrong one. Window layouts. And we're going to add some layouts. Okay. This window will be displayed on tab by itself. And what we're going to do is go next and create the missing platforms. So now, right now, we got a generic Android tablet. If we're going to have other ones, I can literally look at several different ones. So I'm going to use it's a Samsung 7S5, I believe it is, or 4. I'm trying to remember exactly what it is. Tab, I got a tab, there it is, 8. So I got Samsung Galaxy Tab 8, and then I'm going to add one more, which is their size, which is going to be the 9.7 is what it's going to be. That's the two that's being used. So I got a generic one, I got the Samsung Galaxy Tab S2 8-inch and the 9.7-inch, and we're off and running. So what does it do? It creates me the different screens that I have. I have this one here, which is the landscape, which is primarily the way they're going to use this. I'm not going to try to do this as vertical. They'll use it landscape and go from there is what we'll end up doing. Okay, we've gotten this far. Let's see. First things first is I'm not going to do a header right at the moment. I'm not going to do an action bar. So I'll be taking that off. So to take that off, we go into the description of the window, not just the tab bar, and come down here to Style. In Style, you'll see that it has Maximize Window, Widget, and everything, but it has a System Bar and Adject. What I'm going to look for is System Bar only. Okay? That's going to be a lot smaller. Just gives them the time and stuff like that so they can see it, and we just go from there. That'll also give them whatever title it's up there, and we're in good shape. Nothing any better than that would be good. One of the things that they need to do is choose the correct inspection to do. So there's 4 different types of inspections for this. Okay. So the thing I want to do is say, okay, how do I want to build this? Well, because it's an inspection, the smartest thing to do is build it like a wizard. And as a wizard, you want to be able to page forward, page back, things like this, get it to where it can do what it needs to do. It works out pretty nicely this way. So we're going to be doing a couple of things to kind of help us out. In order to do wizards, or best way to do wizards, is using the planes. So we're going to use planes on this. So right now this is plane number 1, which basically the only thing we want on plane number 1 currently is we're going to put in a drop box. And the drop box is going to give them the inspection type. Okay. Right now I'm just going to enter a list of values. And we're going to put in here that we're going to be doing tractor inspection. The next one would be a trailer inspection. I'm looking at the information I have here on another screen if you're wondering what I'm doing. And then we've got the CTAP, CTPAT inspection. And then we go to the final one, which is the driver vehicle inspection. There, so we got the ones we were looking for. Let's finish that. Choose inspection. Make it a little bit bigger. Scrub this over. And we are now off and running. Okay. One of the things when you start talking about planes is keeping your head around which plane's got what in it. So what I do with this is run a bunch of constants. Okay? So underneath the procedure, the first thing I do is constants. And then I'm going to put in there what the different constants I need. There's a constant and an end, that way it's solved. And we're going to do the first thing is main page. And that is a 1. Okay. So that's the main page. Well, actually, that's 0. That would go back to, no, pane number 1. That's right. It's pane number 1, I believe. Let me just check that because it's been a while since I've done anything like this. So let me look at our panes. Yeah, it's 0. It's the main one. Okay. So we got main page is 0. Then I want to say, okay, well, my first one is going to be the trailer or tractor. One. Now, there's going to be multiple pages in here. So tractor page is 1, but if I go to the second one that I need to do, which is the trailer inspection, now I need to give it some space between 1 and it. So what I do is trailer in page equals 10. That gives me 9 pages in between the two. That's cool. That makes it real easy. And then, of course, we got the CTPAT page. Sorry for the interruption. It was my brother-in-law. Then we got equals, and we'll make this one 20. And then we go to the last one, which is driver vehicle. So we'll just call it driver page equals 30. Now, here's one of the cool little features that's in 25. I can scroll up, do this, hit Control-R, and everything lines up nice and pretty. I like that. So I know each one of my mains is 1, 10, 20, and 30, which is cool. Works out beautifully from there. We can set this up. I'm going to say we're going to do it this way. We're going to make that 1, and we'll make that 2. Because the reason why is main is always up. And I may come back and put it back up on main. Okay. It just depends on how much room I have here. No, let's try it this way first. Let's just try it this way first. We'll go back to this. I like experimentation. I like R&D. So we got this one. Now, the first page is, what are we inspecting? Well, we're inspecting the tractor. So we got the tractor inspection, and there's a few things that need to go on to this, and we'll go through a few of these fields. Now, each one of these recordings is going to be about 30, 40 minutes, so we're certainly not going to be done with everything today. I will do another 20 or 30-minute one, 40-minute one, and keep them kind of slow, and then when we get into more serious, we'll get up to an hour. But there's some of this stuff here, putting fields and stuff on. Most of you already know how that's done, and after I get done with the first 5 or 6 or 10 fields, it becomes a watch Andy work bit. So let's go on down here. Now, the first thing we do is we've already going to have a login. This thing has the initials of the inspectors, what they have on the screen, but I'm going to require a login. They're going to require a login, and by the require login, it allows us to trap more information by the individual, so that way we can tie the inspections to that person. So we'll skip by that, and let's go right now. Let's start putting entry items in of the different things that it needs. One of the things that we're looking to do is license plate. We got that one. And then we got the state that it is done in, and that's going to be over here. Because it may be in a different state. So we'll make that a lot smaller because we only care about 2 characters. Later on, we'll come back to this, and this is going to be one cool part. We're going to come back to this, and I'm going to use another RESTful call to get a listing of all the states in the United States and Canada and make that a drop or a method so that way it can easily be utilized instead of them having to actually type the thing in. So we got license plate and state there, and then we got what they call a move number. The move number is basically the trip for the trailer, where which leg of the trip that they're on. We put that in. And then we go into the tractor status, and this is where we start using some more combos. This is going to have a choice of 2. Actually, no, we're going to use a different kind here. What we're going to use is radio buttons. All right, so we're going to do a couple things here. One, RD tractor status. Do that. You notice in the style says no caption. We're going to give it a caption. We're going to have it be an overlap. Okay. And then we're going to go back here to details on the deal, and we're going to have number of columns is going to be 2. And that way we can get them side by side instead of otherwise. And the content is where we change the values. Okay. So this is going to be inbound. And the return value is where I'm going to actually tell it that it is inbound, okay? And then the second one is going to be outbound. And that one's going to be outbound. Now what that does there is that instead of returning a 1 or a 2, depending upon which one you collected, it's going to actually return the value inbound or outbound instead for our storage, which is what we really want. So we hit OK, and we got inbound, outbound right there. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Come here. We'll thin this down a little bit. And from there, we'll line her up, and good. Tractor status now is inbound or outbound. They can push their finger on one of those, and they're off and running. Okay, so now we got a couple more things here. We're going to have the tractor number. And this is where we're going to move some things around. Because I want to see some, we'll do the status here, because that's the status. We want to have that either direction. So that gives me the tractor number and status. That also allows me to look up the tractor for any previous moves on the, say, what was the last thing that was done on this tractor? And then we can go from there. Each one of those are entries. So let's go on. We got tractor number, trailer type. Trailer type is a drop list also. Now, the difference between this drop list and the other ones is that I'm not going to hand code it. I'm going to leave it blank for now because I'm going to turn it into a class deal, and I'll keep a listing of the different trailer types in the database and pull that from the database and store it locally. So that way, if they are doing van, then they'll have vans. If they're doing flatbeds, they'll have flatbeds. But I know Jim does step trailers, flatbeds, vans, and does the big serious ones that have, you know, basically 18 wheels, 16 wheels on the trailer for large stuff, for because he transports stuff for trains and stuff as well. So you got to have multiple different trailer types, and I don't know them all. So we'll let them enter them in and do it. So let's try that, get that. We got that trailer type. So I'm going to do another combo box for this. And the only thing is I'm going to leave it like that for the moment and just say trailer type. Okay, and that's all it's going to be. When we get into building all the classes and stuff to this, you can do it that way. Now, if you've been around me long enough, you know I always say the database is the foundation for everything we do. This is the only thing that I do different than not having the database defined first. because at the moment this is a display. This is a application that's going to do nothing more than show them how it's going to work. That's all it's going to do, is show them how it's going to work. Nothing more than that. So I don't even need to access a database at the moment. I want to show them the screens and stuff like that, and they say, hey, that's what we want. That's exactly what we want. And then it's easy enough to tie the class members to the different fields on this to go on from there. Makes it fairly simple, fairly easy to do. So we got the trailer type. From there, we got a trailer number. And so I'm just going to copy this one. No, I'm not. Trailer number. Okay. We got the trailer number there. And then we have one that is a stack, so that's a checkbox. Right there, and turn on the caption as well on this one. This one here is we may do this a little, yeah. Okay, so we got stack there. And then the only thing after that is they want to stack numbers. So we're going to add another field after this. So if they're carrying flatbeds, a lot of times they'll stack one flatbed on another one, and have 2 or 3 of them on there as they transport them around. And this allows them to say, okay, there was 3 trailers in there, and they put commas in between the 2, and we've got all the stacked trailer numbers that way. So we've got that, and we are now done with that one section. Here's the cool part, or the part I like. As a wizard, I've got a previous, and I've got a next. Simple as that. From this, we line the thing up. And I want to center it. And we're done. Okay. Let's think about this for a minute. When you're doing a wizard or you're doing anything on a tablet, where does the keyboard come up from? The bottom. Since the keyboard comes up from the bottom, I don't necessarily want them to have to fiddle around getting around things if they can, keep that from happening. So a lot of times I put the buttons up on top. Okay? So now what that does is that changes this aspect. And this is something I just, decided to do a little bit different. That needs to be on plane 1 and all the rest of this on plane 2. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to tell it to associate with a plane, and I'm going to move it all to 2. Okay? If I go back to 1, the only thing I've got on 1 by hitting the page up is the inspection, and I'm going to move that, associate the plane, to 1 instead of 0. All right. So initially, this program is going to start off when it fires up, when it opens, and we can do that right now at the end of initialization and just put in there my window plane equals 1. That starts it off on plane 1 right off the bat. Okay? So let's go back down to 2. Now I'm going to move these up So now they've got the ability to hit all of this with the keyboard or you know, with their fingers and everything like this, and then hit the next button and they're good. If they mess something up, they can hit the previous, come back to this page. So let's do this. Right now, because this is the first one of this, you're going to still give them a previous, and the previous is just going to take them back to plane 1 to say, okay, I got the wrong inspection. And you got to make sure they have that ability. So how do I do that? My window dot plane minus equal 1. And what that does is take them back to the first one. Normally. Now, the thing that I want to do is only do that minor plane plus minus equal 1 if I'm on plane 2. So if my window dot plane equals 2, then I want to do that. Else, I actually want to move this here and here. No, I got them backwards. Yeah, what it is. Yeah, let's do it. And this one here is going to be equals to 1. Okay. Why do I do that? Well, if we hit a different one and go to 10 or 20 or 30, we need to be able to say that so we can do a switch my window plane case 2, case 10, 20, 30. I'm going to have it do to plane 1. And the other case, if it's anything else, actually we don't need any of this stuff. Andy, what are you doing here? Take that, we'll just switch entirely. Put a 2 here. So it's 2, 10, 30. Any one of those, then go to plane 1, otherwise plane minus equal 1. Okay? That sets you up. You can also put main page. And that keeps your constants, because if you look at the constants, that's going to be a 1 and a 2. The other thing that you can do because of the constants, and we can make this pretty neat, and I do like doing this because it keeps me in mind of exactly what's going on when I'm debugging, is that I can do tractor page, and 10 is trailer page. Then we got CTAP page, and then finally driver page. There. Yeah. Okay, so we know whether we're on the tractor page, trailer page, CTAP page, or driver page. We're going to take them back to the main page, or we're just going to do a minus equal 1 for the previous. So we got that down. Let's go down to the other side now. Yep. And let's do the next. And all this one is pretty simple. Plus equal 1. We don't care about this one because this is all it's going to be is a plus equal 1 till it gets to the last page. The last page, we're going to need to know what our last page is based upon each wizard. And on that last page, we need to change the button out, or basically do a different button for a save instead of doing this. Okay, So what happens is when it hits the last page, they don't have a next. What they have is a save and then go back. Right at the moment, I don't know how many pages that is at the moment. So we're still going to do a case. Okay. And what we'll do is here is case tractor last page. Let me think about this. Yeah, tractor last page. So I'm basically going to create some more of these, and we'll just put a last in between each one of them. That way, as I build it, I can set and it's still going to go back to the main page. We just want to know what the last one is. So let's, once we've done that, let's go to all codes and let's set up the last pages on these as well. The only difference is like I said, I don't know what the last ones are. Since I don't know what the last ones are, I'm going to set last page currently to 9. Okay. If I have 4 pages, I'm going to set that to less than that. So this will be 19, and this will be 29, and this will be 39. Okay. And just stop from there because I can always adjust the numbers down based upon the number of panes that I'm actually going to have for each section. Okay, so let's pretty this up now. All right. So if I got this right, what will happen here when I hit the go button, and I don't want to debug on the mobile device at the moment, I want to debug on the simulator. And we'll go here. And I'm just going to run this real quick to see what happens. Take a look at it. So I got the tractor inspection. I'm going to go ahead and select that. And of course, we're not doing anything. So let's kill that. Go back up here to 1. And we're going to select all this stuff here. Actually, we don't need to do that, but we're going to. Selecting a row. Switch, choose, inspection, value. Case 1, my window, plane equals tractor, page. Case 2, my window dot plane equals trailer, page. Case 3, my window plane equals CTAP plane, page. And case 4, my window plane equals driver, page. All right. So now let's try it again. Let's hit the go button again. Fire up the thing. We got a tractor inspection, so I'm going to select it. I go straight to it. Fine. We're going to hit next, and we're done. Okay? So we're good going to the next one. What does that mean? Well, that means these items here actually need to be associated with pane 0. That's going to make them show up all the time. That's fine. Let me show you how to solve that problem. So we're going to associate this with pane 0 because I want it on every one of them showing up. Okay? The difference is when I first come in to the plane and I'm telling it to go to that main page, is I want to make sure that it hides those buttons. So button, and I probably got them named differently, but let's see what I got. That one's called previous, and I bet you this one's called next. Okay, so we'll just do it. Previous dot dot state equals, or visible, sorry, equals false. And next. Visible, false. Now the difference is we got to go back in here and inside the inspections, we want to add that and change them to true. Now let's try it. All right. Tractor inspection. There we got a next, and we can hit it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you notice right, what happened, it went when it hit 9, it went right back to choose inspection, which is what it should do. That's what we're going to do our save from on the last number. So we got a couple little bit more things to do with this, nothing major. What we want to do at this point is we're going to go into the next button, okay? And we're going to go in there, and if we go back to the main page, we are going to previous dot visible equals false. Next dot visible equals false. So now it will then go immediately back and be in good shape to take care of that issue. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. See, we're back to trailer inspection. I can pick another inspection and go on. Okay. That's pretty neat. Now the only thing we got to do next is we got the same thing with the previous. Otherwise the buttons will stay there too. We go to the previous and we hit the code, and I'm going to do the same thing here I did on the other one, is hide those. So now if we go to the next window and hit the go button and bring it up, I wish that thing would stay where I want it. So I got now, I want to go to previous again, goes away. I can hit it again, previous again, go away. Okay? That's pretty much it. We've done 48 minutes now. I'm going to start multiple pages of this. I got several other things to put on there. And then we'll go through the tractor inspection and show you how each step is done. And then I'll finish up all the fields, layouts, and stuff on the screens and get back with you on another session where we start mapping it to classes and then start setting up the RESTful program to do its job and things like this. So we'll go through that whole 9 yards and develop this entire project where it actually works. Okay. At the moment, the other part about this big white space in the middle, obviously they need a logo there. We'll put a logo there. But the other thing that I want to do is actually put them some statistics there. So they'll have the ability to see that, you know, this is what I've done so far for the day. This is, you know, how much I've accomplished, how many trailers have gone through, how many inspections I've done, yada, yada, yada. Gives them a way to be able, if Jim calls or a supervisor calls and says, okay, where are you at today? How many have you been able, you know, did you get in the last 20 trailers and stuff? He said, I've done 35 trailers since 6 o'clock this morning, and everything should be in right now. They can be able to tell them instead of saying, I don't know, which is what they have right now. They kind of keep track of it by hand, and so that's wholly inaccurate a lot of times. So that's it for today. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and put fields on each one of the pages, set this thing up to demo that part. I'll get back with you then and make a short video saying, okay, here's how we work. This is how I reset the number of pages necessary for this, setting up all the pieces like it's supposed to. And then I'll leave it at that, come back, finish up the other three inspections that are going to be on there, and then we'll get into what the rest of the development, getting the data, storing the data locally if the internet's down, all of those little things that have to be done. This mobile is the only one I do this way. If I do a WINDEV program or a web dev program, I start with the analysis and I have everything built up out of that. Mobile is the only one that I do this direction where I lay things out, see how it looks, run it on a tablet, make sure that it fits the way it needs to fit, and then I can put everything together in the background pretty quickly. Anyway, y'all be good or be good at it. Thanks for following along. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time.